What's up? We're back with Miguel. My name is Tyler. Star Wars News Net is here with the Deep Space Cinema episode number 4. We have three films to talk about today with varying levels of enjoyment and intrigue and interest. So I'm very, very excited because I don't think we've done 3 movies like this, let alone three blockbuster type movies. I mean, one of them is going to gross up $1 billion, and then we have two of the bigger action franchises, that are out there right now. So very excited. Miguel, I think we're going to be talking about Ballerina. We're going to talk about Mission Impossible. We're going to talk about Lilo and Stitch. I think I'm going to surprise you right here.
Okay.
And let's start with Ballerina because
that is a surprise.
you just saw it. I saw it yesterday. So it's like the one that's the most fresh on our minds.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, might be the one we enjoyed the most. I don't know. I might,
at least with respect to and even like without respect to expectations, I think that this was by far the best of the 3. Mm-hmm. By the way, it's 3 just because we didn't have time to get to the Phoenician scheme. So that would have been 4.
I would have been 4. I'm probably gonna go see it this week. That's my goal, is to see it. I might go see it tomorrow. We'll see. See how busy my homework slate is tomorrow. Also, I probably look very creepy right now because I'm wearing this white shirt and my background is just completely white because I've removed everything from my room because I'm in the process of moving. So it just looks like I'm in this weird environment, almost like a office, I guess. But
your skin is like white as snow, so yeah.
I actually feel like I'm pretty tan right now. If you're like here in person,
probably the light.
Oh yeah, I have this like giant light. Let's see if I can. There it is. Pretty big light there. But that's probably what it is. I'm sorry that I look translucent, though. I apologize. Okay, so let's go into it. Ballerina, spin-off of the John Wick universe, takes place between, I believe, movies. The most of the story takes place between movies 3 and 4, I believe John Wick. But of course, there's a couple moments throughout the film that take place at various times. I thought, let's just start off with, if you're watching this, obviously we're going to get into spoilers of Ballerina. So if you haven't seen it yet, just fast forward when this comes out to the Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch part, and come back and listen whenever you get here. Also, don't forget, like and subscribe. We are very close on our subscriber count from hitting a new milestone, so that's exciting. Anyway, I thought, and I'm just going to put this out there, I thought Ana de Armas was incredible. Like, I was not doubting her for a second. So like when I was going to see this movie, I thought she would be able to handle the physicality and the magnitude of this intense action role really well. And I was not disappointed. I was not surprised. I thought she nailed it. I thought she was the best part of the movie. There were some things around her that weren't great, but as far as what my expectations were going in, I don't know if I should say it exceeded expectations, but it certainly met them, if not close to exceeding them. And I didn't feel like, for a movie that was in the John Wick universe, it felt very much like everything else I'd seen from that franchise, but it also felt fresh and different given the stakes and what the story was about, who the villains were. And so I appreciated that too. We didn't just get a carbon copy of, John Wick and essentially have John Wick 5 without, Keanu Reeves being a major role. So I had a lot of fun with it. I know you are literally just a couple hours removed from seeing this movie. So what are your initial takeaways without having a lot of time to think about it?
So my initial takeaway, and I was thinking like this during the movie, was like how creative it was. It was very creative in the action set pieces. I don't like some of the scenes that we see in there, like I've never seen, and then also with like its how it placed its main character throughout the story. Like I was very pleasantly surprised by the fact, for example, that the character of that Ana de Armas played, Eve, was not perfect in how she fought. Like she didn't lose a lot of fights, but she got pretty close several times, especially at the beginning of the movie. She got quite close with the first contract, and she like got her ass kicked, which I appreciated. And there were like a couple other instances where like I was like, okay, this isn't like how movies normally play it out, and I appreciate like the changing of pace.
Mhm.
And what else? Well, I mean, I was just like picturing like so. For example, I know that this script is like based off of a Blacklist script that was like circulating a few years ago, and they just readapted it to be in like the John Wick
Hmm.
universe. I'm not exactly sure how much of the original thing survived and how much of it like was just repurposed. But I could just see a note somewhere in the Lionsgate offices saying "City of Assassins," like one of these post-it notes that you hang off a wall and like one day we'll get to this. It was just like such a um, perfect continuation of
Right.
whatever John Wick Universe has like
Hmm.
gone crazy into that
Hmm.
it just like matched that level of craziness. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I just yeah, like you said, it didn't feel like a carbon copy, and it also felt like it belonged in the same world.
Hmm. It was
So
fun
I
when they got to that village, when she gets to the village in the
yeah
mountains, which is the home of this cult of
yeah
assassins. What were your initial theories as she's pulling in? So my first thought when she's pulling in is, oh, these people are all aware of what's going on around them, but maybe they were, not fully a part of it. Like not everyone was really a part of it, but they were all aware. So when she goes into the little coffee shop or whatever, the restaurant, and
yeah
some of the people start leaving as she comes in, I'm like, oh, these people are afraid because they know that the hammer's about to come down because this
yeah
outsider was here. No, it was just we're gonna go gear up because every single person in this community is a full-fledged, assassin member of this cult that's been
yeah
trained since they were a child. And I thought that was like hilarious when the townspeople just start, they're all wearing, their heavy coats and winter clothes. You have the barista that's wearing her little apron and starts just launching knives at her. And
yeah
even Ana de Armas's character Eve being kind of surprised when she's just getting attacked by the random villagers, and how they had the whole intercom system of oh, citizens of Ingstad or
yeah
how whatever the name is. We're on full protocol. All citizens called to
yeah
apprehend the suspect. You're like, dang it, we're sitting down for family dinner and we just got to go out. Like she lands in someone's backyard at some point, and it looks like they're just walking out to enjoy some time together, and then they just drop whatever they're doing and all right, we got to go kill this person. So no, like you said, it was just City of Assassins was written there, and they had a fun time with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, for sure, it was. Yeah, like this movie was supposedly like reshot at least heavily last year, and
Mhm.
supposedly like Chad Stahelski, who directed the four John Wick movies,
Mhm.
played a part in that, but I don't know to what extent. So I'm not
Mhm.
even gonna speculate, but whether it was Len Wiseman actually directing most of the movie or it was Stahelski coming in, this just like fit the bill perfectly
Mhm.
into what the John Wick movies like look like, uh,
Mhm.
feel like. Um, had like multiple set pieces in multiple places that just felt uh, a lot of fun. It was just, I
Mhm.
mean, I had to roll my eyes every 2 minutes just because characters survived a giant explosion or a grenade
Right.
like exploding a few centimeters away from them.
Mhm.
But that's just part of the game in action
Mhm.
movies today. So
Or even especially John Wick. I mean, what is it in
yeah,
I think is it John Wick 2 or I think where he gets shot and falls off of the Continental and he hits several things, like different
yeah,
parts of the building, the cars, and he
potentially,
just gets up and takes off running, I think,
yeah,
and hops on a horse and rides to New York City or whatever. So yeah,
yeah,
that's all part of the fun. I did like what you said about how she didn't seem to be like too OP and just overpowering everyone. Like she's the
yeah,
master assassin right away. And that
yeah,
was seen most clearly like in her first contract when she
yeah.
struggled to make that happen. But
She
also
did a lot,
when
yeah,
when you brought in the final boss, when you brought in John Wick, and
yeah.
he's
Oh yeah, no,
basically
that,
just
that that's another thing. that I love. Well, I do have like one minor gap with that, but I did love that they just didn't mess with. Because I was afraid that okay, this is the protagonist of the movie. We cannot have her lose like this giant fight, and they didn't even give her a chance. Like it was like 5 or 6 moves where she lost every single one of them, and she
And you
would
could
have
tell
been
the
dead.
whole point, the whole time he's just like, really, like you're gonna drag
Yeah,
this out. You're and it.
yeah,
When every time he stopped, and he would just, do the whole Keanu Reeves thing, but he would like
yeah,
emphasize the shtick a little bit more. He's like, go, please go,
yeah,
leave now. And then finally, he just decided to pull the gun. He's like, you have to leave. I just love that they
yeah,
were like, nope, this is this is the bar, and you are not even close to the peak.
yeah,
You have so much room to go before you can reach that. And I just love his, how well known obviously John Wick is in the entire world at this
yeah.
point. It's just kind of funny, like everyone knows who he is. Where the leader of this cult just sees him walking in their town, he's like, the Baba Yaga. Yes.
Mm,
Like every single person knows, and he lets everyone know. He says, we are going to let the wolf hunt his prey. No one is to interfere. And the funny part too, and this made me laugh out loud, was he's just walking. No one talks to him. There's no like information given. And
yeah,
he just walks in, it seems in a straight line, and just ends up exactly where she
yeah.
is. And I just thought that was funny. It was almost like he had a tracking fob from like from Star Wars, and he just had a lock on her location.
I mean, we're gonna get there, but this is the kind of like over the top fun that I
Hmm.
enjoy out of the John Wick movies, and that I also like in a similar sense I used to enjoy in the Mission Impossible movies, and like the
Hmm.
last one just didn't go there.
Hmm.
Like it
Hey,
went
we're
way
not there
way.
yet. We're not there yet.
We're not
Okay.
there yet, but like it disconnects the two. And
Uh-huh.
one thing that I didn't like fully enjoy about this John Wick confrontation is that I didn't buy entirely why he didn't pull it off,
Hmm.
why he didn't pull the trigger. So I understand like and all of this is like within the movie. I understand that he connected to Eve through her revenge quest the same way he embarked on a similar quest when
Hmm.
his dog died, when they killed his
Hmm.
dog, basically. And we did get that line at the beginning of the movie, like all of these just because they killed your dog or whatever.
Hmm.
But still, to me, like it was as if he was just waiting for the excuse to get on her side,
Hmm.
and I didn't fully buy that. This is like didn't fully ruin my enjoyment of the movie,
Hmm.
and and mostly because I'm there for another arms. Like honestly, Keanu Reeves couldn't have been here, and I would just been fine.
Right.
But if you're gonna do it, uh, I think this worked very well for me. Like I didn't want
Hmm.
this to be a team up of the two for half the movie. In fact,
Right.
like just like few seconds before they rank him up, I was just saying, okay, so Keanu Reeves like was supposed to be in a huge part of the movie, but he's just been in one scene. So
Hmm.
is he like did they like go another way from what was rumored or whatever? And yeah, then he shows up at the end, but still
Hmm.
it was like um, he was a nice supporting character, if
Right.
that, as
Hmm.
opposed to like the co-lead, which I think is what had been rumored, or at least was my
Hmm.
understanding. Um, so yeah, I can overcome or get over that small thing, but it
Hmm.
did occur. The thought did occur that okay, this isn't like
Hmm.
fully working for me yet.
I did like how within that though he did say you got 25 minutes essentially because
Yeah,
he's going to carry out some sort of finality to this,
yeah,
and she knows she's on the clock. I did it was, and it also it gave, I think the reason they went further on that line too is it gave him a reason to have his own separate action sequences against the people of the town. And
right.
there was the part where that's John Wick in there. He's just one man. Takes him out in about 5 seconds.
Yeah,
So there was that part of it that you kind of get a little bit of just a little taste, a little hint, a little whiff of the John Wick and
yeah,
where he's at because he's able to take out them so easily. But I will say that there is a level of like, all right, he shows up, he goes all this way, has her, and then just decides, yeah, I'll chill and just see what happens for a while.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
quite what we've seen.
I can think of like a backstory where he was already bothered by these people, and he's just like waiting for the excuse to, get on their bad
Hmm.
side and just like start shooting through their heads.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like within like forget about like my own head canon. Like within the movie, it didn't fully land, even though
Hmm.
I can see some of the explanations.
Hmm. Did you have any? You're fresh out of it. Do you have any favorite like action shots or any favorite kills that Ana Darmas had throughout the movie?
I mean, I en- I typically enjoy a lot of like in-camera things, especially like either like wide lens that you can see exactly what is going on, or or just like continuous shots where she goes like from one to the other to the next to the next. So there are a bunch of those that I did enjoy. I cannot like pinpoint one out exactly. And even though this wasn't my favorite, I would like mention the flamethrower on flamethrower fight, which is I don't think anything I've ever seen on
Hmm.
screen. Maybe I'm missing something, but I
I
don't think
could
I've,
not. I
yeah,
could not think of anything I'd seen that was remotely similar, where they're
yeah,
just launching flame bombs at each other
yeah,
essentially. And I just love the fact she's just going through people, and that was her weapon of
yeah,
choice for the greater part of her final, like crusade as she's going through the town. And then the two of them going at it like that was just perfect. And I will say that there was the part I laughed the most at was when she's going to Frank and she's in the shop where she was going to go buy and all the guns, and how her only weapon is essentially like the 6 grenades, and she's just launching
yeah.
them everywhere and flipping
That
over
was
the
one of,
tables. She goes, and it was one of those where like really like, but at the same time, it fits so perfectly into what John Wick is at this point. I couldn't help but laugh and have a good time, especially on the one where she just happens to throw it behind her, flip the table over just in time,
yeah.
slide over an inch or two, and then just keep running.
I think that sequence was one of my favorites, no
Hmm.
doubt. Even more so than the final one. Even though I enjoyed the
Hmm.
final one a lot. I mean, I did have like several points where I was just checked out because it was just too unreal. She was just like throwing grenades, and even though the explosion hit her, she just like went on unpunished. But it's kind of the stuff that they can later
Hmm.
overlook. But in the specific moment, it's just like, oof, that feels off and
Hmm.
whatever. But in the end, it was just much
Nothing
better
will ever top
than I
though, even with the
expected.
grenades. Nothing will ever top John Wick 4 and just all of the stairs that he fell down
Yeah,
in so many times and just kept going right back
yeah,
up. Like nothing will ever top that for me.
yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, fully agree.
So we talked about this movie. Let's talk about real quick, actually, real quick before we keep going. Norman Reedus. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of Norman Reedus in this movie. I was a little surprised at just how quickly he came and went. I would have liked perhaps them, because they kind of create this narrative that she's here for the kid as well, but really she's just there for vengeance. She happens to take the kid with her back to. So I don't, that would have been something like if they had maybe made that a little bit more apparent that she's trying to prevent this kid from having to go through, what she could have gone through or what her sister had to go through in a sense. But then it was just interesting that, and then Norman Reedus, I thought he died. And so when he
Yeah,
was still alive at the end, I was like, oh, like I thought she was going to keep her and they were going to go off and kind of be
maybe
together, and then
that's
she dropped him off. But so I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more of him, but you know what, it's not one of those, like, you're not going to John Wick for some grandiose, well timed out, well played out story. So it was one of those like I can overlook, but that was one for me, and just a little disappointment that I thought we might get a little bit more of Norman Reedus action.
honestly, I didn't even care for that. Perhaps they just kept him alive so that they can bring him back for the potential sequel.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not even sure, but that's just me speculating. And then one thing that didn't like I think that they didn't exactly stick the landing here was this issue where she was saying that she had the choice to become an assassin, and so she made that voluntary choice, and then the town at the town they like tried to convince her that it was actually like forced upon her. Like there was like this issue with the choice that she made that I don't think was fully explained. I didn't fully understand how that motivated her character. Let's say that.
Well, and then you throw in the element too of her sister, and
Right.
she gets killed immediately after their. I was gearing up for a little like sister, action against the town. Like maybe
Yeah.
that she helps her escape after but then she died when they tried to take her out. I thought they were both going to survive maybe that initial blast, and then they
Yeah.
would team up to try to get out, and then her sister would die at some point at the hands
Yeah.
of maybe the leader of the town or something like that. But then she died so quickly after. I felt like, given how emotional that seemed like it could have been, I thought maybe having a little bit more time for them to work together or hash things out a little bit more would have been nice. And it kind of felt very abrupt for her to die just 2 minutes after they actually begin their first conversation as sisters. But again, it's John Wick, so not gonna
Yeah.
harp on it
It's a
too
movie
much.
that prioritizes like having Ana de Armas look very cool, and even on her own, like especially except when she's facing John Wick, but that was like a 2 minute scene.
Right.
So and for the rest, like Ana de Armas was on her own for the vast majority of the movie. Like she even when John Wick was on her side, she was acting alone. John Wick was just up there like a guardian angel.
I think he took one axe to really protect her when he shot the other
Yeah.
flamethrower guy. But other than that, he was pretty much just got my sight. My guy, he had her, his target was on her most of the time, just waiting for the clock to tick midnight,
Yeah.
essentially.
And even that shot that he took, I don't think that was an impossible fight for Ana de Armas to win. I don't think that she had just lost the fight. I think that it was still a 50-50, and perhaps he was just buying her time.
It's possible too. I would also wonder. So, box office wise,
Yeah.
supposedly, and these numbers are the numbers are interesting. You get mixed reviews. Supposedly, what I've seen is 90 million budgets with around 40 million from marketing. So around 130, 140 ish for totality. Did not rake in a ton, in its first weekend. It looks
Yeah.
like it was a little bit underwhelming from what they were hoping. I hope that word of mouth travels really well with this. My concern is that because it's getting great word of mouth, I think a lot of people are enjoying it that have
Yeah.
gone to see it. It's getting good reviews. It's one that I think could do well if it gets the time. My only concern is the fact that the next month of movies is so jam packed. Like when you have Formula One that comes out in a couple weeks, and then are people saying, "I would like to go see this," but you have Jurassic, Superman, Fantastic Four all coming out within 4 weeks of each other. Am I holding back for that? And then how much of it is just there's not necessarily a great need or want or desire for John Wick spin-offs, like this universe that they're trying to create, because they have Ballerina. There's the other spin-off with who is it? I'm blanking on the name of the main actor, but it was the
Oh, the guy
blind
from Rogue
assassin.
One.
Yes. I'm blanking on the actor. But
Oh,
his spin-off movie
no,
that
no, it's me
it's
too.
like
I
the
don't think that that's like
character's name
happening
is like
anytime
Don
soon.
Kane or whatever, but that spin-off movie, they
Yeah.
have these like anime films. There's even a game like in development, the possible John Wick 5 that could happen. There's all of these other like spin-off projects and then another John Wick. I just don't know if after I see the opening box office here, is this something that people actually want or desire from this universe, and how much it's so we live in this day and age where, oh my goodness, something doesn't pan out in that first weekend or second weekend, we just cast it off as a win, or we cast it off as a loss or a failure, a flop or a success so quickly, when a lot of times the true measurability of profitability for for these movies is extended way beyond just, that first couple of weeks, but we kind of make that judgment early on. So my question for you even is, where do you think this is right now? Because they do leave the door open for another movie with her. When she leaves, they have the $5 million contract out for her name. She's like on the contract list. She was like second or third on the list at the end of highest contracts in the world. They want her dead. And she leaves, she sees her friend, but the door is open there for her to appear in other projects or for them to make a sequel. And personally, if Anna de Armas wanted to make another one, I would be all for it.
Yeah, me too, completely. And I was just checking by the way, the name you were thinking of is Donnie Yen.
Yes.
I was just checking like box office numbers, and previous John Wick, at least John Wick 4 pulled in 50-50 domestic and international numbers. And the Ballerina opening was also 50-50 domestic and international, and around 25 million each. So I don't think that there's still some room for this to gross at least and get for Lionsgate to get their money back. I really think so. But let's see. I also don't think that Formula One is going to be the blockbuster that you're painting it as, and that especially Apple was hoping for. I think that the buzz for that was a lot stronger last year, and mostly because they were expecting a much bigger push from both Formula One and also Formula One fans. And I don't think they're seeing that, and perhaps they're just a bit scared of how this movie is going to perform. And yeah, like July, that could potentially be problematic for them a lot, but that's still 1 month away. Like Jurassic World is 1 month away. By then, this movie could like have passed maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say 250, but I do think that can get into the 200 range.
I think Sinners opened up to a larger opening weekend, if I remember, but I wonder if that's like a similar comp. Obviously, different genres. We have like this horror, and we have action, and this is in an established like universe. But Sinners, I think, had maybe a solid opening weekend given projections, while Ballerina was, this might be a little disappointing. But Sinners has had great word of mouth. People were talking about it, and it held for a while and did quite well. While I'm hoping Ballerina maybe gets the same treatment where, a little bit slow in the beginning, but have you seen the Ballerina? It's actually good, because I wonder how many people are out there going, I'll kind of wait and see what people say about that, and then give it a shot. But that's my hope. I love it when a movie can, if it starts off slow, but it is like a really good one, it can still hold its weight and become profitable. I think the best, I remember, this isn't even remotely close, but I remember it was like a couple of years ago when I went to go see Elemental with Janelle, like the second weekend, and I had heard how, oh my goodness, this is like the biggest flop from Pixar in so long. And I went to go see it, and I was like, this is actually a really fun movie, very different than what I was expecting. And they kept it in theaters for a while, and it did quite well for them. So maybe this can end up being something similar. I think it's also important to realize too that I don't think this had like any IMAX screenings, anything like that this weekend versus
Mission Impossible has that.
Because Mission Impossible has that all.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Give it a couple weeks.
Speaking of,
you want to go in? Is it time? All right. So
let's do it.
Okay. So Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I've seen it twice. I will probably go see it one more time, just because for a couple of reasons. One is I'm on summer break, and when I am done moving and when I'm done with homework for grad school, I like going. I just like going to movies. So I'm like, I'll go see if
I'm just busting your chops.
But also, it's one of those, like, I will trust Ethan one more time. It's like at the same time as we'll get into some of the movie that doesn't work for us. The last like 40 minutes for me, I have a blast. I have a blast both times when the main sequence is started. So I'm gonna make you a little upset here, and I'm gonna lay a rule down right now. We are going to start off with what worked for us for this movie, like a positive note, simply because I love this franchise so much. And while this movie, I think when I did rank, I went through and like just did a blind ranking of all eight, like real quick, like just gut feeling. I had this at like 7 or like 6 or 7, like for me, like it's really low. 2 is definitely in the bottom, but it was 6 or 7. I went back and forth.
With
So I
what?
want to know though first, what works for you for this movie? What did you enjoy? Because there is stuff to enjoy, even if it's not necessarily what we were hoping that it would be.
Okay, I will answer that. But what movie were you like swapping it with between 6 and 7 in your ranking?
So I go back and forth on 3
Okay,
and this one. I go back and forth. I
okay,
think 1 is kind of firmly above. I go back and forth on like 1 and 3 sometimes,
okay.
but I give 1 the respect I feel like it deserves being the
I,
first
I
one.
maybe I can try doing it later,
Which is
like the
funny
full
because I
ranking.
think maybe the best villain in the entire franchise is in the third. So it's whatever. But here we go.
Yeah. So for me, if I'm going to like point out something that really worked, was the diving scene, the going into the submarine scene, and just like getting the whatever thing, source code, whatever monkey paw thing, and then up. I was a little bit, but I'm okay. I'm not gonna say what bothered me about that scene. What really did work for me was how the focus was set on that sequence throughout.
Hmm.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they got away from it.
No, that
Like from the
no.
moment he goes into the water,
Yeah.
I think they just like stay with him, which I like
Hmm.
appreciated a lot. I think that was the right call because sometimes you can use this like cutting away to a different sequence trick to like
Hmm.
increase the tension, but in this case, I don't think it would have worked. I think that it
No,
was the right call.
they stayed with the sub the entire
Yeah,
time, and the only time your eyes weren't on Tom is when they flashed the whole sub dropping down a little bit.
exactly. Yeah, and that was tense as hell, and I honestly did not know what was going to happen.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, I assumed that he was not going to die down there, but I did not know how he was gonna get out. And so that did work a lot. And I really enjoyed how they played with the water and how it was
Hmm.
coming in and like how he was like operating through that or around
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
rather. And I also did enjoy that that sequence was almost entirely silent and you could hear a pin drop in the
Hmm.
theater. And I thought that that sequence was great. It was
Hmm.
honestly even better than the final one
Okay.
with the planes for me.
Okay. I I love the water sequence. I love the submarine sequence for sure. It was a little too long for me. It went on a little bit too long. I I am mesmerized every time I watch the plane sequence just because too they've released more videos from that one of the behind the scenes how they film that. And so I love watching those and so I was already just locked in, ready for that scene when I went to go see it. And then every video that's come out since I've watched, and I go rewatch this, and so I'm mesmerized every time I watch that because I'm trying to look for all the little things that they show in those little behind the scenes clips. And so for me, the plane sequence was my favorite because I don't think we had really ever I've never really seen something like that before, especially from this franchise. The submarine sequence was very different, but they I do remember like I think MI4, like Rogue Nation, I think. Or no, sorry,
Five, you're
MI5
thinking of.
is
Yeah.
5, yeah, Rogue Nation when he has the underwater, sequence in that
But this
movie.
was
Very different. And not even they're not even close to the same, but this was this aerial shot of him jumping from a plane to plane. I
yeah.
don't know. I love it felt very just even like thinking of like Top Gun and they're flying in the planes and just I
I
love
mean,
aerial sequences in general more so than the submarine ones make me a little bit more uncomfortable, which is what they were going for and it worked.
for me, I guess for you, the submarine sequence reminded you of five. For me, the plane sequences reminded me of six
Mm-hmm.
and the helicopter shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought those were like insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of those shots from six were just
Right.
insane, and it's not like they were just redoing the same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's like a lot different, but bad guy in a ship that is flying away, Tom hops on a different ship and chases them, etc. It just reminded me a lot of that sequence. So it's not that it was not impressive, but to me, the what worked a lot about the submarine sequence
Mhm.
was the tension, how they were
Mhm.
able to build up the tension and like for you to feel it in your bones, even if you know that he's not going to die.
Mhm.
And for me, the aerial shots were just like just for showing off. The same
Mhm.
way in Seven, they just marketed the hell out of this motorcycle jumping off the cliff
Right.
shot,
Mhm.
which was fun because you know how they did it, but it wasn't at all the best part of the movie,
Right.
or
No,
even the
I
most
can agree with that.
interesting.
Mhm.
So to me, this it was the same here.
Okay.
It was just this sequence that it was just very much interesting, like from how they built it, from
Mhm.
how they like. I mean, narratively, not just like the stunt, but
Mhm.
narratively and how they just pulled it off
Mhm.
and build the tension and so on.
Mhm. Some other fun surprises that I loved were I thought Trammell Tillman was amazing. He had some of the best line deliveries in the whole movie. The whole, you must be the general or something, whatever his title is, or the sergeant. He's like, and you must be out of your mind. Like I love that. And then there was the other one where he said, "Sir, if you wanted to poke the bear, like you came to the right man." That I thought that he was obviously not very big in the movie. He only had a few moments, but he was a character and that I will remember more than so many of the other ones that they threw into this one. Like that was one that really sticks out to me when a cast I felt like they had too much going on. Like he was a central point where like I actually could have hung out with this person like way more. Like they should have maybe instead of having like Hannah Waddingham's character at the beginning, and then he goes to the submarine. Like, just bring him to this guy first. Have them hang out
Yeah,
with him and like Katie O'Brien, and have him hang out with that
yeah,
crew for a longer time because they were
yeah.
far more interesting.
Yeah, I agree that Submarine Crew was a lot of fun. I should say though that I cannot speak a lot about the land deliveries because I did not see this movie in English. I saw it dubbed in Spanish.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not find a screening in English to see it. I did see Ballerina in English,
Mhm.
so that one I did find, but Mission Impossible was just impossible.
Okay.
Impossible.
It was impossible. You should have. It was.
But
It
anyways,
was a true impossible mission for you.
it was a truly an impossible mission. But I did enjoy a lot the submarine crew
Mhm.
and especially the captain and how like willing he was from the beginning to just like he understood the situation and he understood that okay,
Mhm.
this is not a situation where I should just be fighting this guy. I should be
Mhm.
on his side
Mhm.
and and I did appreciate that a lot. That was a change of pace with respect to how they typically work and how like these people like this work inside the same movie. So the like
Mhm.
the other generals that were with Angela Bassett,
Mhm.
like there were a lot of there were a bunch of them that were against Ethan.
Mhm.
So I appreciated the change there.
So I have one last little monologue to go on, and then we'll talk about what didn't work. And I have a lot of things that really didn't work for me. And I want to start off by saying that this I thought, and you may disagree, I thought this was a fine movie. Like I thought it was good. I did not think it was great. It did not meet the expectations that I had for it. And part of that is because the bar is so high with some of these Mission Impossible movies that it's almost impossible to not raise your expectations, to a certain degree because of how great they've been one after another for the last, 15 years. With that being said, I still think this is a good movie. I still think this is one that fits into the Mission Impossible brand. It fits into everything, but there are some very stark differences and some things that do not work at all for me in this movie that I want to get into, which is why I feel like almost more than any Mission Impossible movie, this is very unique in the sense of I thought some of the highest highs for the entire franchise were in this movie with some of the like the submarine sequence that they did, some of the plane action that they did. Some of the highest highs are here, some of the best stunts that we've seen in any of the movies. But I also think it has the lowest low points, even lower than some of Mission Impossible 2's low points that are all mixed in. And I want to throw this to you. I think the biggest problem, and I wrote this. This was like one of my biggest notes. This movie, after they break Palm Clementive's like character out from prison, completely forgot to have fun. Like completely
Yeah,
forgot to have fun, and that was to me the biggest problem is because in the a through line of every Mission Impossible movie is even in the highest stakes sequences where oh my goodness the nuclear bomb is going to go off in 3 minutes, there's still times where you let loose and you even laugh a little bit because
yeah,
of something that happens. And this movie, because of the way they do that shot with all the country flags of the nuclear powers and they set these stakes of it's like there is no going back and the world is about to end in a way that the world is not about to end ever in Mission Impossible. It's almost really hard to crack a smile even when they try to get you to do so. And that to me is the number one sin of Mission Impossible 8 Final Reckoning is the fact that it forgot to have fun.
um so to me, I have a lot of like uh, a long. So first of all, I do not remember a lot of this movie. I think that that's a general problem, and that's not because I have a bad memory. It's because it's very forgettable. Like the
Mm,
plot of this movie is just very forgettable. There's a lot of mambo jumbo about how the like how they are calling this, or like this is the end of the world, and the AI is gonna do this and it's gonna do that, and if this happens it's gonna do this other thing, and if we launch our nuclear
mm,
missiles we should also kill our own people, and but uh, it just didn't make sense to me.
mhm.
It didn't make sense,
How were they tracking the entity? Like, how did
and
they have
perhaps
this tracker for the entity? They know how to, but they
exactly, yeah.
also don't at the same time.
And perhaps it, like if I had it uh, fully laid down in a paper and I just read it a bunch of times, it would make sense. But you're in a Mission Impossible movie. You're like not here to get an explainer on how this thing
Mhm,
is working. You should be able to get it from one explanation, and they spent the first 40 minutes of this movie with exposition about how
mhm,
the AI would just like kill everyone, but
mhm.
try not to kill itself. And uh,
Which
I don't
we've
know.
built up through the entire last movie is that if this
Exactly,
AI takes over, is that it's going to be horrible for everyone.
and it's like they had this internal debate where it's like, okay, we want to have like the highest stakes we had, which is the AI killing the world. But at the same time, we also know that if the AI kills everyone, it's also like uh, doesn't make sense for it to kill everyone because it's just gonna rule over no one. So
Mhm,
how do we solve that problem? And I could just see like Macquarie struggling with this idea at the core of the movie, and not fully being able to solve it.
mhm,
Because they like answered the question a couple times, but it didn't. I didn't fully get it,
mhm. They
and
should it to
yeah,
me, it should
like
have been kept as simple as getting rid of all this whole like all the nuclear missiles are going to launch at once. Just keep it. I think you can have the biggest stakes you can have simply by having the AI has control over everything. Like it just simply has control, and we do not know what it's going to do with that control. And you can
yeah.
have a moment where it does something that completely sets off a chain reaction of events over here without just having an instantaneous doomsday scenario.
Right. So I was watching this movie with a friend. It was his second time seeing. He's also like a huge Mission Impossible fan.
Mhm.
And I think that he was on the right when he said he enjoyed it a lot more than I did. And he was warning me, like I was like 30 or 40 minutes into this movie, and I'm like, this is a very bad movie. Like genuinely bad. Like this is poorly written. It's very cheesy. It just
Mhm.
I don't know. We can come back to this, but he was basically like, I think that there's a very better version of this movie where the nuclear arsenals or whatever is like a subplot of the first act, and they just put an end to that, and they forget about all the like geopolitical mambo jumbo.
Mhm.
And the main part of the movie is the AI wreaking havoc on social media and
Mhm.
just basically doing what Mountain Head did on. Did you see Mountain Head?
Mm.
Okay, so it's like this HBO movie where it's like the the supposed biggest tech pros in the world, and they have this geopolitical problem because they have generated this AI that is for the for the social media platforms for users to employ, to like make use of, and it's just like creating these situations where like there are a lot of deep fakes and there are a lot of
Mm.
um, misinformation being spread out. So I
Mhm.
think there's a better version of
Like you
this movie
don't
where
know
it's
what's real and what's not, which
exactly
was kind
so
of a
you
through line from the first movie that we thought was going to
exactly,
carry over.
and I think that would have been if you can carry that into like an
Mhm.
action franchise, that would have been a better version of this movie rather than
Mhm.
having all of this ridiculous doomsday clock scenario that doesn't even like that
Right.
just crumbles down by its own weight. And one other thing that I should mention that actually I forgot my point, so I will just circle back to it.
Mhm. No, so like that definitely makes a lot of sense is that it gets carried away. It kind of gets carried away with itself. And I think part of that problem too is the way that Mission Impossible is slowly, it's kind of been building up over the last few movies. And it kind of goes back to that Alec Baldwin line in Rogue Nation, which is like, Ethan Hunt is the manifestation of destiny. And they've just built up this whole, arc of Ethan being the manifestation of destiny, like the
Yeah,
one man that can save everyone. And part of that is like that whole, I guess, like meta narrative that in a way, like Tom Cruise is the one like saving us from, the algorithm and in
right.
itself, like trying to save us and save movies. And he alone is the one that can do it. And it kind of gets, I think, like egotistical might not be the right word, but I think a little bit of that gets pumped into this movie and
It's
it kind of
egotistical.
creates becomes like the larger than life narrative, but not in a way
Yeah,
that suits a Mission Impossible film.
yeah. The thing that I was gonna mention is that I think that in Seven, they did a great job in setting up the AI as the ultimate bad.
Mhm.
They like I think one of the scariest moments of that movie was when he was just removing Gabriel in real time from like
Mhm.
security cameras. And that just showed you a lot without doing much.
Mhm.
I don't think the AI was set up as a villain in this movie.
Mhm. No.
Like,
It yeah, it was more it felt more set up just like a doomsday button, like someone like hit
yeah,
and the whole thing was doing. So that scene with Gabriel disappearing from the first one is definitely up there. And then the second one for me that actually scares me the most is when he's trying to talk to oh my gosh, Simon Pegg's character Benji, and he's trying to talk to Benji about where to go, and then the entity takes over and uses Benji's voice to tell him the wrong way to go to trap him. And it reminds me of some of the stories I hear of like AI now like mimicking like your loved ones. So like they'll call you from a number, might not be, but it's like their voice to try to like human traffickers are using that now to do this. And thinking about what if that was on like a full scale use, like this thing could just do anything it wanted to anyone. You wouldn't know who's talking to you and who's not. And like it went away from that so far. And it's really frustrating because you can have a lot of fun with this whole AI on social media, AI tearing cyberspace apart, because the first one, like the previous movie did it. And that just makes me go back. And this is some of like conjecture on my part. And I mentioned this to you is I really feel like they had one film for this kind of like they knew they were doing two movies, but I think they had one main movie they wanted to make. And when they realized they couldn't make this in one film, they said, all right, we need to stretch this out into two full films and have the same, villain, the same thing carry over both times. And I think that scene in that first hour of pretty much just reiterating what we already know. And then they completely like Gabriel's character, they kind of just run out of things for him to do. And
yeah,
he just kind of thrown to the wayside. And I think that's part of where I envision like, okay, I think they had a full film fleshed out, but they were like, we couldn't possibly do all of this in one movie. So they said, we have to make two. We have to stretch this out. It's going to be part one, part two. The part one thing didn't really work out. So they just drop that after it comes down and they do all of this. So that to me is the biggest sin is the not having fun. And then, what you said about the AI and the whole giant world killing narrative doesn't really work either. I have another sin that I wrote out, and I don't know. I think you're gonna resonate with this as well. And how do I say this? Mission Impossible, there's like a sexiness to Mission Impossible
Yeah,
films that exists. And I mean, it's like literally a
I was just
combination
thinking about
of,
this. Go ahead.
okay,
Yeah,
it's like a combination of, you have Tom Cruise doing crazy stunts, all this action, and he's next to some of the most beautiful women in the entire world while doing it as well.
yeah,
And they're also being badass and taking charge and doing their own incredible, scenes as well. This movie pretty much takes place, and part of it's because it takes place like in the Arctic. And so, everyone's just really bundled up, and there's no like, because when they have like these really sexy scenes, there's like a playfulness that exists there,
yeah,
and that's where some of these movies really have a lot of fun. And I think about some of like the heists they pull off in other films, and the way they have fun with the masks and doing different things, but it just doesn't exist in this one. And it's the only Mission Impossible film really where there's no layer of like fun, playful. There's no like playfulness. There's no sexiness. It's just a very dry movie in that
yeah,
terms. And you're sitting there with Haley Atwell, who's one of the most beautiful people in the entire
yeah,
universe, and they tried to get her to have a little bit more like of the humor part of it. Like they kind of funnel it
yeah,
through her, and she does it really well. But I felt like they completely like bungled her role entirely, where I thought she was going to have a much larger role to play in this. And I love the fact that she's the one, because of timing, she has to hit the button. I can get on board with all of that, but I thought you could have given her so much more and had her been so much of a bigger player in all of this, instead of the person that's just delivering us because you know him and you know him, we have to go here. And instead, we take her to the Arctic, and she's just kind of used as the humor side, piece from the script.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that Haley didn't really work for me in this movie. I think that she was great in Seven. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think she was very good in this one. Maybe it's because she didn't have much to do. But in the Seven, she was like very playful
Mm-hmm.
and very sexy in how she was playful.
Right.
And you could see that pairing up really well with Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, you get that like twice, maybe.
Mm-hmm. At the very beginning, and then at the very
Yeah,
like end, but they're not even together throughout the whole
yeah.
film, which
And
is
I would have
what's frustrating, because
and
she's with Benji, and then she's with the guy from one that they brought back. I forget his name, and there's just not really
yeah,
room for that.
exactly. And you can buy that if this was her first movie, but it was the second one, and it was like
Hmm.
supposedly part two, where she was just continuing off her journey in the first one, where she had like a major journey, and
Hmm.
and now she's just like not only one more in the
Hmm.
team, but she's just like almost disposable.
Hmm.
And one thing that I did think throughout the movie, and I was just thinking about this, like complementing. I was missing two people here, two people in this movie. One I thought during the movie, and one I was thinking about during this conversation, like a few minutes ago. And they're Rebecca Ferguson,
Hmm.
who is the one that I missed a lot during the movie. She was just
Hmm.
amazing in 5 through 7.
Hmm.
And I know they killed her off and that they were not gonna bring her back, but I wish that they hadn't.
Hmm.
And the other one was Vanessa Kirby, who
Hmm.
I did think that had a lot of those, did a lot of the sexy heavy lifting in 6 and 7, and I was just missing her here and her
Hmm.
chemistry with like Tom Cruise and this
Hmm.
like we don't even like probably wouldn't agree with anything we do, but and we're not even like attracted to each other, but we can just forget about that for 2 seconds, and I can just kiss you here
Hmm.
just because of it. And I thought I did miss that. I did
Hmm.
miss that. I guess it speaks of like the part of having fun as well. But those are like two characters that I did miss a lot
Hmm.
uh, in this movie.
Well, and when they killed off Rebecca Ferguson's character, when they killed Ilsa,
Yeah.
My thought was, okay, because Haley Atwell is now here and she's
Right.
gonna be like lock in step with Tom in the next movie, and those two are gonna be doing, going on that journey together. And instead, they completely separated the two throughout pretty much the entirety of the movie, and then they're reunited in the weird little bland looking box that they had to put her
Right.
under. And then it was just weird that they put her there, and she's like, making sure he can, be okay in the decompression chamber. And
Right.
it's just a weird reunion, weird bringing them back, and it didn't feel at all natural to do so when I thought we were going to have these two go on that journey. And because the chemistry that they had in Seven made me forgive the fact that, okay, Ilsa died, and that was, really big for the franchise. I was so sad when that happened because she's one of the
Yeah.
best, additions to Mission Impossible that we've had in the whole franchise. But I could forgive it because I always went back to, some of those first scenes that Ethan and Grace had together. And then the car chase scene is just incredible in MI7. And so I thought, oh, if MI8 is filled with more of that, okay, we'll be just fine. But it had none of that, which made it, feel almost, it makes 8 feel like oddly out of place in the franchise in large part. And then of course you mentioned Vanessa Kirby. I left too. I was like, where was the White Widow? Where was that?
Yeah.
She brings a lot to it. And so yeah, that was another thing that didn't work for me. And it was frustrating too because you go see some movies that you have high expectations for, they don't meet them, and you can see, like, you know what, this was probably never going to work. And but you leave that and you walk away going, it's very clear what kind of does and doesn't work in this movie. And the things that don't work are easy course corrections that they could have made. And it makes you wonder, how did we not see that throughout, especially when we're this far along in the MI process? It's not like this is the second time this band has gotten together to make a film. Macquarie and Tom go way back at this point.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, it just sticks out, this movie, because if you go back to six, like maybe stops for like 10 minutes, uh,
Hmm.
and not even like in a row. Like
Hmm.
there's maybe like 10 minutes in the movie where you can just
Take a
breathe
breath.
and yeah. And that movie like is what, 220 or something like that.
Hmm.
Then it's MI7, which I think has a clunky start, but once Tom and Haley Atwell meet, from
Hmm.
that moment on, there's no breathing time.
Hmm.
Like just forget it. There's like until the credits, just like it's like a giant sprint. And then there's this movie where not only it like takes more than an hour to kick off,
Hmm.
but that first hour, it's just fully redundant. Like
Hmm.
my friend who was with me, and I think he was like kind of right, although not entirely. He was just like, from this moment on, the movie starts, and that moment on was like 35 minutes into the movie, maybe.
Hmm.
And I think that he was even wrong by like 5 or 10 minutes. I think that
Right.
the 5 to 10 minutes after that point were redundant.
Like, I honestly
And
feel like the movie doesn't start until he takes the plunge into the sea. Like, when he just runs off of the little chopper that they're in, and he just jumps in. Like, to me, that's kind of where the movie starts for me,
right,
because everything else is just, here we go, here we go, here we
yeah,
go, and then boom. Now I'm like, all right, yep. Tom's, Ethan's just running and jumping into the ocean. You got them with the guns drawn and everyone else. Like, okay, yep, the movie's actually kicking off
right,
now. And even from the beginning, when they do the prison breakout scene and there's just the funny glances at the beginning, I was thinking, okay, all right, we're going to do this whole nuclear holocaust like thing. Don't love that. But then I was starting to have some fun when they broke her out of prison. I'm like, okay, this movie has the makings to be something pretty exciting. And then it doesn't really have like fun after that for a long
yeah,
time. And then, there's the classic intro sequence where they show you like the scenes of what's to come, the classic Mission Impossible McQuarrie
yeah.
thing. But then they have the flashbacks and the little montages when they're in the meeting, and it just feels weird that we're doing all of this. And I have to be honest, I'm someone who really likes some level of like continuity. But what I love about Mission
That was bad.
Impossible is that each movie stands on its own and does its own
Yeah,
thing. That's one of my favorite parts about this. And this calls back all the way to the third, where
No, the
it
first one.
well, the first, I guess even the first one, yeah, because of that. I was meaning just the entity
The monkey paw.
being the
Yeah.
like he's stealing that, being the rabbit's foot that he steals in the third one. But
Yeah.
you're right. I
Yeah.
mean, it goes
Sorry.
all the way
Yeah.
back, all the way back to the first one in terms of some of the characters. But that I don't have as much of it. Although it was weird that his son was just so random, and they did nothing with that except for at the very end, he's like going to shake
No,
his hand.
I didn't mean just that. I meant the guy in the Arctic, who
Right.
was in the
No,
first one.
yes. I picked that up. I just was going off of his old
Yeah, yeah.
boss's
Like
son, and
both
then they
both
did
of
that
them.
thing.
I mean, could have been. I also they felt like very forced course, not course corrections, but like retroactive
Mhm.
feelings that they were just trying to pull an end game here and
Right.
just didn't work,
Mhm.
honestly.
And I didn't like the fact that we're going back to the rabbit's foots from 3,
No,
and it
didn't
made
make
me feel,
sense.
and, like, we're making me feel bad about cheering for him to go save his wife in the 3rd one because somehow that decision was wrong, and some of that was about, like, Luther and telling him that, we shouldn't have regrets of the decisions that we made. I also felt like killing Luther, that was something that I knew was going to happen in this movie. He felt like the character that was going to die.
Yeah,
Didn't really like the way that happened either. It felt very, oddly timed, oddly placed, and the stakes didn't feel large enough for me at the time because Gabriel somehow gets his hands on a nuclear bomb every 10 minutes in
yeah,
this
apparently.
movie. Apparently
Yeah,
so.
and also didn't really have an impact in the movie until the
Mhm,
very end when he
mhm,
plays the message. But
mhm.
you didn't feel a lot of the impact,
Which it should,
emotional,
because
at
that's
least.
the guy that's been with him since the very, beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't love that. Um, I don't know. So I guess to me, I think that you were going in with very high expectations. I had very high expectations like a week before the movie opened, but it took me almost a couple weeks to see the movie. And this was because just I had seen some of the reviews which weren't very positive,
Mhm,
and then I don't think that you not loving it also helped.
mhm,
And then I just had all the stuff to do, and
mhm.
I just
Right.
waited. And so I
I
was,
saw it like
my
that
point is that
first night. I'd seen mixed reviews, but yeah.
my point was that I was going in with low expectations, and I don't really care about like whether it merit whether the movie met them or not. It was mostly to me just a matter of this was a bad movie to me.
Mhm,
I know that you say it was good. To me, this was a bad movie with a couple of good sequences.
mhm,
But I honestly, the same way that the same way that a bad sequence in a very good movie doesn't bother me,
right.
this one, just having a couple of good sequences didn't wasn't
Make up
enough for
for
the
it.
movie to work for me. Yeah,
Mhm. It was my expectations going in, and this is maybe a little ridiculous on my part, but as someone who loves 765, like you're going off these bangers that you've had for the last 10 years, right? And you go in, and I was wanting this to be that climactic ending where, oh my goodness, we're going out on maybe
yeah,
not the highest note that we've ever had, but we come close to hitting the highest note. And I can't wait to go see it again. And I got to tell all my friends, like, oh, you got to go see it. Like, you have to go see it. And like I did for seven, I love that one, and it couldn't even come close to me. And I tried to channel that, like I was trying to channel, like I
yeah,
so if I am love something, I'm going to go all out and try to find every little thing that I love about this movie to the point where if I'm talking with people, or even it's funny, like even like Janelle or my family members are like, yeah, this didn't hit for me. And I'm like, hold on, let's talk about the good stuff here. Like there are some good sequences here, even though I know in my mind, I'm like, it wasn't that good. Like you gotta accept that. And it was my mission that I have not chosen to accept, I guess, fully because I was very disappointed in certain scenes. But you know what? It's okay. Any other things you want to talk about? I thought that her character. I forget her character's name, but it was Palm Clementive's like
yeah,
character. I really enjoy her. I think
yeah.
she's
Me too.
fun,
Yeah,
fun character. I wish we had
yeah.
more just fun with her, and I thought her
I
and
did
Vinci
enjoy
still really fun.
her interactions with Benji.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy that final sequence where they actually twisted her natural ability to kill into like an ability to save Benji.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. I mean, that was just so okay. My biggest one of my biggest problems with this movie is that it was way too cheesy, and this goes back. Like this is a reformulation of some of the stuff that we've already said, but Mission Impossible movies are over the top, the same
Right.
way like John Wick movies are over the top. Not the same way, but John Wick movies are also all
Yes.
over the top in a different way. They're not cheesy. This movie was very cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
and that was something that was throwing me off a lot. And it was a bit of a cheesy line where Benji said, "Okay, you can like uh, you fit the bill because you have this ability to kill, and you can like this is like another side to that coin." And it was cheesy because that didn't matter ultimately. She was just following instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but still, like it was a nice moment, so I can
Mm-hmm.
overlook that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed her character a lot. I guess
Mm-hmm.
that just to wrap up, maybe you can just rank the whole franchise semi
Well,
quickly.
one more question. What did you think of the
Yeah,
very final moment when he like takes the entity and walks off? Like, and the whole point to me was they trapped it in here, but the whole point to me was he was going to kill this thing and it was going to be done. But my whole idea is, well, if it's trapped, can it just get out again? Like, couldn't it just fall in if it falls in the wrong hands? And I guess that's part of it is like we have to trust Ethan is the only one we can trust. Like Tom Cruise is the only one we can trust with the power of the
uh,
universe. But that was a little odd, I guess,
I think there's some of that, and there's maybe.
because they share no
I hope
words.
they're just not setting up nine.
Right. But see, I felt like that was like a climactic conclusion,
Yeah,
and I felt very final to me. Like
yeah,
it felt very
I,
final to
I
me.
agree.
But I mean,
I
all it
agree.
takes is let's do another one. All it takes.
What I mean is that I wouldn't mind an number nine. I would be fine if they just left it off here. What I mean is that I don't want this villain back.
Hmm.
If they're gonna do nine, just do something else.
Right.
But I do agree that having the final reckoning as the final movie just kind of works.
Is yes, it does work, although a little deflating. All right, final
Yeah,
like thing before we talk about Lilo and Stitch. Just do a ranking of Mission Impossible,
just very
pure Mission
quickly. Yeah,
Impossible. Okay, how do you want to do
should I
it? Do
go?
you want to go? Yeah, do you want to go
Okay,
like number one back and forth, or like you just
we
want to
can
go in
go.
order of what you want?
We can go our way up. So I guess that for both of us, we agree that the number two is like the worst.
By far.
Yeah, yeah, I agree as well. And then I would put eight.
Okay, I will go.
Actually, no. Actually, no. I would not put eight. I will put three. I don't like three. I know that some people like three.
Mhm,
Most people, at least, think is how it just started to get good again. I don't like three. Sorry.
mhm. I think it's fine. It has a few J.J. Abrams sins in there, so
Yeah,
I'll go three as well. I will go three as well, and then I will put eight
yeah,
next.
yeah.
I will go
And then
one.
I'm gonna go four. I'm not
Okay.
the biggest fan of Ghost Protocol.
Okay.
Um, I don't have a rational explanation. One, there's a stupid one. I don't like Tom Cruise's hair in that movie.
That's fair. It's a mop.
Um, I think that the Burj Khalifa scene is overrated,
Mhm. He's got
even
his
though
most iconic sprint in that one, though, when he's in the suit with the sandstorm coming behind him.
yeah,
I think in
yeah,
that one, that might be the most iconic of the sprints.
that's fair. And I do understand that the Burj Khalifa scene is like a
Mhm.
real holy fuck stunt.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just overrated because I've heard it put at like almost the top, and to
Mhm.
me it was a nice middle of the row scene
Mhm.
for the Mission Impossible franchise.
That's fair.
So maybe it's
You
just
got
because
Ghost Protocol
I
then.
have it,
Yeah.
I have it like below other people that I
Mhm.
just don't enjoy it as much. So we
Okay. I
move
put
on.
one. I'll put one in that slot.
Okay, and then I'm going one for the next one.
Okay. I have Ghost Protocol next then,
Okay,
for sure.
what about
So
then?
then that leaves us with three left. And
Yeah,
what do you got for your top three? Just
I
go
have
three, two,
five,
one. Okay.
five,
So five.
7, and 6.
Okay. Flip 7 and 5. I'll go 7 and then 5 and 6 as my top three. So we have the same top three,
Okay,
but 6 is my favorite as well. And
yeah,
then I like 5 as well, like right below, and then I'll put 7 right
I
underneath.
think 6 is like a perfect 21st century action movie.
Okay.
I think that like if you were to rank the best action movies of the 21st century, that and Fury Road, there's no
Mm-hmm.
way that is not your top two. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
think of other two. Uh, I guess there are some, but at least the top three has to
It is.
contain both of
You
those.
have you. There's just so much in that one that it's not like you said before. It is nonstop. Like it is
Yeah,
nonstop from start to finish. The helicopter scenes are incredible. I mean, every time the bathroom fight pops up on my phone, I'm watching that thing on
yeah,
loop. Like every time. That's when Vanessa Kirby's introduced
yeah,
into the franchise, which is fantastic. You're
yeah,
already established with Ilsa Faust because she appears in
yeah.
Rogue Nation. So like that movie, yeah, that movie is perfect. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, I would just flip 7 and 5. I think it's because I love Rebecca Ferguson that much, and that movie it takes on like a different. I like it when they stick in that one has like a little bit of everything with the car chases for me. It has like the British government more involved, which I enjoyed like that introduction of like the two opposing intelligences going back and forth a little bit. And I kind of like that villain for 5 and 6, like that I forget his name, but the one that's leading like the group of
Yeah,
like anarchists around. Like
yeah,
I enjoyed that whole sequence because that one too is very different from any opening sequence where it looks like Ethan's gonna get his next mission, and it's actually the introducing the villain in the
yeah.
mission, and then he sees someone die. Like that to me, it just starts off just I'm hooked right away. So same top three, different order, but I think we both come to conclusion with number 6. So I appreciate that.
Uh, to me, I think 7, if it didn't have this offsetting start to me, and maybe this like I should go back. I've seen it like two or three, at least three times, I think. I
Mhm,
should go back, but I think that the first 10 minutes of 7 don't work very well for me. And
mhm.
then once it gets going, it just doesn't stop. And to me, that's just like without those first 10 minutes, I think this could have been a contender for number one.
You ask me tomorrow if I go watch it, I might move. I might move them around a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit here and there. Those
yeah,
top three are just all timers for me.
yeah,
So moving on to an all timer, we have an all time box office live action, reimagining for Disney hit on our hands. It looks like Lilo and Stitch is on its way to being the first $1 billion grosser of the year and for movies. And I went to go see this with Janelle, and I knew that that was a movie that we would both go see together. And she's very interesting in that she's like, we got to go watch the Disney live actions. Oh, we do need to go see Mission Impossible. And then she will say, all right, let me know when we're going to go make our showing of Warfare because I got to go see that too. It's so interesting, but don't ask me to take her to see a Star Wars movie. She won't go see Star Wars, but we'll go watch
mm,
anything else, right?
mm,
But that being said, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was obviously I'm not going in with any expectation, any I don't know. I wasn't like get to the movie, like in the trailer, get to the movie at all. It was just like we're here, grab some popcorn, sit back, have a good time. Something I appreciated is how different it was than the original. I like it personally when they kind of go away, not completely, but they make it a very different movie than the original. Like, give me a reason to watch this and not what I've already seen, which is why I couldn't tell you how uninterested I am to go see How to Train Your Dragon. I probably won't even see it, like,
yeah,
unless I
me
have
too.
nothing to do because in every trailer that they've shown, it looks like it is literally like a shot for shot remake. and nothing about it screams any more interesting than what I saw in the animated film. Lilo and Stitch at least provides a lot of different things. The story ends completely differently. There's this whole, arc with the sister that's completely different than anything we get in the original. And I really appreciated how they said, you know what, we're going to still stay true to the Lilo and Stitch story that we know, but we're going to give you a completely different interpretation of it. And, it's not a perfect movie. This isn't going to win, any awards, but it was cute and fun, and I laughed and felt a little something, and that's really all I needed to do.
Yeah, I agree. What about How to Train Your Dragon? Just very quickly. I don't think I will go see this movie. I haven't read the full reviews yet, but I did hear out of CinemaCon where they screened it that it was literally a shot-for-shot remake. So take that for what it is. That being said, I fully agree with you. I was a little bit worried that this was also going to be a shot-for-shot remake when I saw the first scene, which is it's been a minute since I saw the original, but it felt like very line by line reimagining of that. I didn't love Jumba in live action. I don't know. I cannot explain it. Just
I can see that.
Just felt like I don't know. Didn't work for me. Blickley, for example, did work a little bit better, even if he was mostly in human form for in the movie.
Right.
I did appreciate a lot of the nanny subplot, which I think happened because you cannot trust a live action movie like on a 6, 7, 5 year old, and you need like that adult to hold a lot of the weight. And I did think that the actors was quite good, so that's also part of the reason why it worked very well for me. And Stitch was very cute, and I appreciated how he was wreaking havoc, but you could also see that he was worn down by the family sentiment that Nani and Lilo had.
Pun intended.
And
Watered
how's that?
down as he sinks in the water.
That wasn't in the original, was it?
I think it is. I think it
It
is
is.
because
Okay. Okay.
he
May I forgot.
drowns. I think he has like the near drown. There's like a near drowning sequence in the original as well.
Okay, I
I
forgot about
haven't
that.
seen the original in 10 years.
Okay. I did think though I was a little bit worried about this at the beginning that it was very cartoonish for me at the beginning, like the first 20 to 25 minutes. I know this is a cartoon and that this is based on a cartoon, but this is live action now, and there's like a little bit of credibility that you need to gain when you move into live action, and the way the characters were behaving was very cartoonish to me. Not like the aliens and whatever, but mostly the way Nani was reacting to stuff, or just being especially the scene where the social worker shows up, like the first one, that was very cartoonish. But past those like 25 to 30 minutes, I did enjoy a lot of the rest of the movie, and I did enjoy especially how they brought it full circle by the end with the whole idea of family and like embracing this feeling and so on. And we can talk about the ending, by the way, because I know there's like some controversy apparently. But go ahead.
Some people are upset because of because they're separating the sisters at the end, and she leaves and I abandons her, and these are. I could not disagree more with what people are saying about this, because to me, the whole idea, Ohana means family, no one gets left behind. They take that, bit, and they expand on it in ways the original doesn't, which is, what else doesn't get left behind? Nani's original dreams and aspirations, that this tragedy fell on this family, but her like future is still bright, and
Yeah.
it will burn bright both with what she values, but she also doesn't have to sacrifice literally all of those dreams and aspirations for the sake of Lilo having like a childhood. Like both of those things merged together, and with the
Yeah,
mid
can
credit
coexist.
scene of her like using the portal to come back and see her, it was very in my was like very clearly saying like, oh, they're always going to be together. Like nothing can separate these two sisters. Like
Yeah.
they are family forever. They're going to be joined together, and they can see each other whenever they want, and they're going to be just
Yeah.
fine. And I appreciated that because as they're doing this, it shouldn't be a she has to give everything up for Lilo. And I love how they even give Lilo, it's a little cheesy, but it's like a Disney movie based off of a cartoon of her just saying like that's what mom and dad would have wanted you to do. Like I want you to go do that. Like I want you to go away. And I don't. And I saw some people saying that why would her little sister want her to go away? Like that's not something that would happen. But given the context of the relationship and what this movie really is, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense that she would say, I want you to go do what you want to do. Like, go be and fulfill those dreams. And they kind of create these characters so that way she still has that, that home that is still there. So no, I love the ending. I thought it added a little bit more weight to the whole story versus just the idea of this is the family coming together, which is great, but now it's coming together. And because there's a lot of situations where I've seen and interacted with students that have gone through like really intense things, as a teacher. And there are situations where you see like how some of the like maybe the older siblings or like a single parent has pretty much sacrificed a lot and everything for the sake of like their kid or their little sibling. And as admirable as that is, and how much I love the fact that like that kid now has someone that's like advocating for them and like it's going to be there no matter what. There is a level of like, man, I wish that there could be someone else there to give that other person the opportunity to go seek whatever it is they need to seek. And I love how they created these characters specifically so Nani can do that, well, without losing any of her like tie to Lilo. Like they don't sever any of that, and she can still be that same supportive, loving older sister that's always going to be there for her, and also still kind of like make sure that her own soul is fed.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. I also appreciated that I think most movies would have flipped it, and they would have had Nani saying throughout the movie that she's going away, and in the end she decides to stay.
Mhm.
And here it was just again, like once again, a nice change with respect to that common narrative that most movies would have advocated by.
Mhm.
I did appreciate that. So for whatever it's worth. Another thing that, well, I guess like for practical reasons, and also like budget issues, they kept Jumba and Bleakley in disguise throughout most of the movie,
For most
which
of it.
did work for me. Did it work for you as well?
It was fine. I felt like I would agree with you that Juma didn't work as much for me. But at the same point, I didn't as much as it maybe didn't work for me. I was just enjoying the scenes with the family and Stitch wreaking havoc and causing chaos. Like that's what I
Yeah,
I
that was the
went
heart of
there
the
to
movie.
see. And so that was the best part, and I loved that enough to like overlook some of the other bits. It was going in. Chanel actually, she said how all these people obsessed with Stitch. Like my whole life, people have been obsessed with Stitch. I've never been obsessed with Stitch. He's all right. Like he's whatever. Movie ends. I look over. She is like maybe I don't know if she was full fledged crying, but there were a few tears there at the emotion, and she just looked at me and goes, "I loved it. I want my own Stitch now. Like I just want one." I'm like, we went into this movie 5 minutes ago, and you were clowning on the Stitch lovers, and then she left the movie like I just need one of my own. So I'm sure that
I thought that you were gonna say that she was browsing through her phone looking for a Stitch merch.
it would not surprise me if like if it something gets shipped to my house, because sometimes she likes
Mhm.
to ship things over here, and it's like some Stitch, stuffed Stitch or something like that. I mean, she gets mad because I have like my Baby Yoda stuff that I like put up and I put all over the place. So maybe she needs something of her own, but we'll see.
I guess so. I mean, what I also wanted to reach was that I enjoyed that the CIA agent was the big alien. I guess was supposed to be the big alien from the animated movie, right? Because he was revealed at the end to be an alien as well, was he not? Like when with his like flipping of the ear, and that did I imagine that?
I missed that.
Oh, okay, maybe I imagined it.
Maybe
I, I,
it's like I can't say I was looking at this movie with a magnifying glass, like looking for everything.
so
Maybe I missed.
at
I don't
the
think
end
I did.
when the alien leader, like voiced by Hannah Waddingham, or however you pronounce that name,
Right.
she accepted Stitch sticking on, like
Right.
staying on Earth,
Right.
and she talked with the CIA agent played by guy from the Spider-Man movies, I think. Um, I cannot remember his name right now, but
Right.
she talked with him, and they like had an understanding where he was going to look after Stitch,
Correct.
and I thought that he was just hinting that he was also an alien in disguise.
Oh, I missed that. Maybe so. I missed that. I didn't think so. I
Maybe I
thought like,
misread
they
it.
needed the representative of the other aliens staying with him, so they would work together to.
Because in the original movie, there's like an actual Captain Gantu who is after Stitch, sent by this leader, and I thought that they were the same person.
It may be. I'm so I don't
Okay,
remember much of the original, like to be honest. Like outside of the
okay,
major beats of Stitch wreaking havoc, the very end, and a few things in between.
okay.
But I would have
There's
loved
one
to.
thing.
I would have. The only thing I would have wanted more of is a little bit more of the surfing sequence. Like I would have loved that to maybe to build up a
Yeah,
little bit
there's like
more.
iconic Lilo and Stitch shots. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, with him, with the family, because it felt like the only thing is I never felt like in the original you kind of see the build up to where like Nani kind of learns to love Stitch as well, and
yeah,
in this one, the two of them, there was never really an interaction with the two of them that gave them like any level of a
yeah,
bonding moment. And so that to me could have maybe used a little work because it strictly stayed between Lilo and Stitch versus like Nani having a reason to go save Stitch outside of her love for Lilo. It seemed like, oh, I'm gonna do this because she loves Stitch, not because she loves Stitch and he's become a part of our family. It's the
right.
only thing for me. But we're just nitpicking a cute
Yeah, yeah.
film, so it's not like.
In the end, it
So
was just fun.
what do you think this does for, apparently there was a report that they're gonna stop and slow down all these live action, reimaginings. Granted, I can't imagine they can't have too many left beats in the tank at this
I mean, they're
point,
doing
but this
Hercules
one's gonna
with
gross $1
Russo's.
billion, so is that
I think
changed?
this just means that they're gonna do a Lilo and Stitch too. I don't think they're gonna, because I think that they should understand it. They do understand that the main driving force for this movie was Stitch.
Right.
Because just a couple months ago they had Snow White, which
Mhm.
just like
No one saw.
completely bombed. Not only completely bombed, nobody remembers it came out. Like I saw
Mhm.
a poster on like a bus stop a week or two ago. No, it was actually a month ago. Whatever. It was like a long time after
Right.
the movie had been in theaters. And it was
Mhm.
like not a long time, but a couple months maybe. And I actually like had forgotten about this movie. So
That's fair. What? So, oh man, I lost it. Marketing. Stitch marketing has been off the chain. It's been awesome.
yeah,
Like they've done such a good job, and it made me
yeah,
wonder how much of this can Disney and Lucasfilm replicate with the Mando and Grogu movie for the next year? Because they had Stitch, is more of like a chaos creator than Grogu is, but the fact that they've been putting Stitch everywhere in marketing for the last year. Like, how do you not put Grogu everywhere in your Disney movies for the latest marketing? Throwing him in little trailers and mixing him in with other commercials, having those animatronic Grogus at theaters, doing something with popcorn buckets, with soda refills, whatever it is, to just put him everywhere. Because like many people went to go see this movie for Stitch, a lot of people would go see that movie and similarly for Grogu.
I agree. They should no nuts. They should absolutely do that. They should do something like with Avatar. Uh, just in December, they had done something with Mufasa, where they had like Stitch as a stand-in for
Right.
Simba,
Mhm.
like being lifted in the air. I think that they should do something like that with Avatar and Grogu, and then just like
Mhm. Well, doesn't
have
does
him.
Zootopia
Like,
2 come out this year?
yeah, yeah, in
They
November
could easily do something with Grogu and throwing him in with like some of the animation there.
potentially. Yeah,
Zootopia, like that could be. There's a lot of there, and the thing about Grogu is it's so easy to throw him in because it doesn't take a lot of creative genius to find ways to make him cute and funny and
yeah,
exciting in a little brief marketing. But anyway, this is the thought I had when I left, thinking, oh my goodness, like obviously Lilo and Stitch goes way back, but then you throw in the fact that it's a Star Wars, like the Star Wars brand, and every single person on Earth knows who you know Grogu's like Baby Yoda is, then
mm,
should be easy marketing, money there. But we'll see
yeah.
what
I
happens.
hope they are listening. Yeah,
I'll send this straight to Dave Filoni's. You know,
sounds good.
I'll text him. I'll text him when it drops. Anyway, any other final thoughts? Let's see. We got next episode. We'll see how long we wait. But I know I want to see Phoenician Scheme this week. I'm looking forward to Formula One. I not going in like I don't know. I'm not going in holding on to my like seats, sprinting to the theater like Ethan Hunt, but I'll be there. And probably that first week it's out, and I'm excited to see what it holds. And then after that, it's hold on to your butts because you got like the blockbuster trio when you have Jurassic, Superman, and then Marvel's last feature of the year. So it's gonna be a
Yeah.
big July.
What do you think about Elio?
I haven't seen it. I'm going. I forgot to mention that. I will go see.
It's not
Okay,
out
it
yet.
comes out this next week. It comes out what next week?
Yeah. Are
I'll
you
probably,
looking
I'll
forward to
probably,
it?
yeah, I'll probably go see it. It's something new.
Okay.
I
It's
don't. I'm
not
not saying I'm
really
excited, but it's something new. It's probably cute. It's probably a movie I'll be like asking Janelle if she wants to go see, but I think she wants to save her movie pass credits for Formula One, so I might go see it by
okay.
myself.
Honestly, it's not really on my radar, so
Mhm.
I might change my tune. But um, I did see the trailer for Formula One today, which I don't think I had seen, and it was more fun than I expected. So,
Mhm.
and I expected it to be fun, but I enjoyed the trailer more than I expected. Let's say that.
Okay, that's good. I like
Yeah.
that. We'll see what happens, but anyway, all right. Appreciate you coming on. Deep Space Sim number 4. A lot of movie talk this week, this month. Love it. Can't wait for more. For Light and Life, everyone, remember that we are all the Republic slash. What's something that Stitch might say as we get out of here? Perfect.